Hello, so this is Rose Diamond from Tribe in Transition, and today I have with me Eric Bensoussan, who is a transformational relationship coach. And this is part of the series that I'm doing on exploring the nature of our soul work. So, Eric, I'm really excited and curious to find out more about the work you do with people in relationship and how and the nature how that is transformational. So do you want to just start by telling us what kind of questions or conflicts or issues do people bring to you about relationship these days?
Yes, well, first, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. And the most common question that people ask me when they come to see me, they really want to improve their relationship. They have no idea what it looks like, but that's what they want. They want to improve relationship. They're struggling with relationship. They're struggling also with themselves, how they relate to themselves. And they just feel that there is another way, there is something that they can do about it. And this is the starting point. Really, yeah. And just to describe a little bit about my work, the core of my work is the relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every relationship you have. So for me, it's all about how you feel about yourself. And how you feel about yourself will create your life experience.
Okay, great. So you're saying people come because they're looking for something more. They know that there's more. That even if the relationship may be sort of okay, that there's somewhere more to go, further to go.
Yes, and they are convinced that there are other way to experience their life and their relationship. They
Yeah.
just don't know where to start. Most of the time they feel stuck. They feel anxious. They feel, sometimes with no hope, and they just want to have, some sort of relief, some sort of guidance, tools, strategies on how to improve that. So once we start to work with clients, when I start to work with clients, immediately I will give them very quickly some strategies and some tools that they can use very quickly in their life, that they can have a different perspective, and then they can try to create awareness about what's going on in their life right now. And also, one of the first things that I tell all of my clients, and I think it's really important, is whatever is your life experience, whatever is your challenge right now, it has nothing to do with you. So let me explain that. It has nothing to do with who you are deep down. Your experience has been created by your experience, by your history, by your stories, by your emotional imprint, by how you have been raised, by how you have been domesticated by the society, right? But the experience is just the experience. So if people can just step back and say, okay, this is my experience, I don't have to identify with my experience, as painful or as uncomfortable as it is, I can start to feel a bit of relief and say, oh, okay, maybe this is not who I am. Maybe there is something else for me, or there is something within myself that I don't have access yet. And then from that place, we can create more awareness about why they do what they do, why they struggle, where is it coming from, and to start to heal that past relationship, and then to make new choices, right?
Great. So it's a kind of sense of making more spaciousness around the relationship or around the self, so that you kind of, you say, to step back a bit and stop identifying so much with the experience, because I think that's where we all get hung up, isn't it? That we think
Yeah,
this is me, and I must be doing something wrong, and
yeah, absolutely. This is it, because we are mixing a lot of things, and we're mixing the experience. And I will just give you an example and share about my experience. Most of my life, I was a people pleaser. Okay, so I learned how to be a people pleaser since I was a baby, right? Because of my history, because I was a replacement child. But the thing is, as I grew up with that experience, I identify myself with that experience, starting to believe strongly that this is who I was. So I said, okay, this is my experience. I'm a people pleaser, and this is who I am. I was born like that. So I just have to accept that. But at the same time, as I accept that, I'm struggling. It's painful. It's I feel hurt. I feel rejected. Whatever the inner dialogue is. So I had at some point in my life to step back and say, okay, maybe there is something else. So if there is something else, maybe I am not a people pleaser. Maybe this is not my identity. So if it's not my identity, where is my hurt or my pain or my uncomfort comes from? So if I can step back and start to dig a little bit within myself to understand what it is, then I can access to a whole new wall of possibilities. And as you said, as you clear out and as you heal, you can make some space for new possibilities and then for new choices, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you stop recreating the same experience over and over again. Because that's also one thing that people struggle with, is they come to me and they're saying that, and that, but I recreate the same experience over and over again. So how do I stop that? Right?
Yeah. Of course, and relationship is a kind of very easy place to see how we keep repeating those patterns, isn't it? Because you can come out of a relationship, think it was all the other person, go into the next relationship, and there it is again. And it's like, so I think the point, in when I used to work as a psychotherapist, the point where people actually started to come and want to change was when they were hurting so much, because these old patterns were causing so much discomfort or pain, that they just knew that even though it was felt risky to change, they were ready to change. So it's at that point where the suffering starts to really, and you start, oh, maybe this is more to do with me than it is to do with that other person.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you just said, because it's really about taking responsibility for how you feel.
Yes.
Not blaming your circumstances, your challenges, your life, your parents, your partner, whatever, your colleague at work. It's really to take responsibility. So the way I feel right now, I created that. This is my responsibility. Nobody can make me feel good, bad. I mean, it can be a better setup when I am with someone who loves me, who cares about me, right? I can take something out of it. But mainly, my experience of life and how I feel, it's my responsibility. So if you start in life taking more responsibility about whatever comes your way, then you don't have to blame others. You don't have to blame yourself. You don't have to be harsh on yourself. You don't have to judge yourself or to judge others. You just start to try to understand why you do what you do, and how can you stop doing if it's uncomfortable, and what's causing the pain, as you said.
Yeah. So that's why, as you said at the beginning, that your focus is on all about a relationship with ourselves. Because I think often we tend to look to relationships to fill up those holes in the self, or the sense of longing, or the loneliness, or something, and that doesn't work, really, does it?
No, it doesn't work.
It's very human to want to do that, but it really doesn't work.
No, absolutely. And because most of us have been raised like that, right? And we have been conditioned like that, because love can be conditioned. Our parents that say, you have to do that in order for me to love you. So you have to behave that way. You have to do that. You have to wear those kinds of clothes. You have to behave that way in certain situations. But when our parents told us that, it's about them, it has nothing to do with you or with me. So what it means is, at some point we lose connection with ourselves, and we are conditioned to do whatever the society or our parents, our colleagues, our friends expect us to do. And the thing is, we identify with that a lot. So then we're struggling, then we're in pain, then we get hurt, then we get upset with everything. And it's only when you can step back and take responsibility and say, okay, from now on, I will take responsibility for how I want to feel. Then you can start to see what's going on. And then you can have an idea about what would I want my experience to be. Because my experience is painful right now. Okay, so I'm going to create awareness. I'm going to understand what it is. Okay, I'm going to heal that. But then when I heal that and when I have space for new possibilities, what do I really want to experience? And that this is starting to be true to yourself and have the courage to go within yourself and to understand what is it that you need, or what is it, why we are here. So you're talking about the soul work, the soul journey, but what is it? What are we supposed to learn? How are we supposed to grow, evolve? So this is where you connect with the deep part of yourself, and you start to do a deep work, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot in what you're saying. I'd like to. You've mentioned, identity, shifts of identity. I don't think you would use the word shift, changing identity, or realizing that you're not what you're identifying with something which is not necessarily who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me that is kind of one of the important parts of transformational work. So I'd like to sort of explore a bit more about what makes this work that you do transformational, and because transformational to me, and the changing or the growing of the sense of identity, to me, is a very, very much part of the spiritual path. What you're talking about, the soul journey. That it seems to me, if I look at my life, that I've had, I identify as being a certain person for a while, and then I go through a deconstruction or a disintegration of that person, and for a while I'm floundering around and feeling confused, and I don't know who I am, and then the next sort of level of my potential starts to emerge, flowering of my potential starts to emerge. And so again, are you saying that with a relationship, a focus on a relationship is actually very powerful in terms of bringing to light these the need for shedding of an old identity? And what happens in that case? I mean, I'm giving you if you shift, you make a change identity, but your partner or the person, a family member, whoever it is you have the relationship with, doesn't change. There's two different questions there, but
yeah, well, it can happen, but I think it's when you do that kind of work, transformation, that's one of the risks, So along the way, you will disconnect with some people in your life because they don't they don't fit anymore. Or it's not working anymore. The relationship is not working anymore, right? So there are two options. Either the transformational work that you do can inspire others and your partners, and sometimes your family, your colleagues, and as they see the shift within yourself, they can say, wow, what's happening with you? Because when there is transformation, the outside people, they are the first ones to see that. They can see, wow, you're different. There is something about you that shifted. You're more alive. You're more. So you can inspire people to do the same, because some people will say, wow, I want that too. I need that too, right? So it can be either inspiring people, or either some people in your life will resist about that because they're going to feel scared about it, because they're going to feel threatened by that, because they make it mean something about themselves. So that there could be some disconnection in that moment. But this is one of the risks, and this is one of the thing you do. And you just have to be okay with that. And hearing what you just said before you asked me this question, I think it's really about, so when you talk about the soul journey and the soul work, it's really about surrendering. So at some point you create awareness, you make new choices, right? So you make space for new possibilities, and you will explore deep down what are your true desire, right? But so when you do that, at some point you have to stop resisting. So when I say resisting, you have to stop being uncomfortable with uncertainty, right? Or being uncomfortable with not knowing what's in the future. All you have to do is to connect in the present moment, and then you really have to surrender to whatever will come your way, and trust that whatever will come your way is something that's going to help you evolve and grow. So because we are talking about the soul journey, some people sometimes say, well, I don't know what is my soul purpose, right? We have a lot that question comes you see it everywhere. And I'm sure your clients ask you that sometimes. But doing this work and evolving and growing, this is one of your sole purpose. So when you accept that, you just surrender to what is, and then you just do what you have to do in order to be fulfilled, to be more happy, to be whatever you want to experience your life. And when you start to really experience your life aligned with who you are deep down, then you can discover more about your soul purpose. Then you can discover more about that journey. And you just have to follow the inner guidance, your intuition, whatever comes your way. And you trust that whatever comes your way is the right thing for you in that moment. So it's full of possibilities, actually.
Yeah. Oh, again, so much different avenues I'd like to go down. It seems to me that there's also everything you're saying really resonates with me. It's like coming from this transformational work from a somewhat different angle, but it's it's the same process. Really, it's really this process of emptying out and trusting and connecting deeply with the authentic self and getting more in touch with who we truly are. And then somehow that starts to attract to us the possibilities which are going to help us to grow, and the old, if it doesn't fit us anymore, falls away. But it seems to me in a relationship there's always a lot of need to practice discernment, because for that sort of thing, like at what point do I say this relationship is no longer working, because it's truly no longer feeding, nourishing who I truly am, or or when do I need to surrender to the relation? It's tricky, isn't it? And I think that's why relationship is such a sort of fertile field for us to learn, because it does take a lot of discernment.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. It takes some discernment. It takes some detachment, right? But I really think that when you're on the path for transformation, and you're ready to do a work within yourself and with the outer world, right? I think deep down you know what you need. You know exactly what it is. You know what's working for you and what's not working for you. The difficulty in that moment is to let go. So that's why I was talking about surrendering, because it's to let go. Because we said, okay, well, if I let go that relationship, or if I let go that story in my head, what am I gonna find? So it takes a lot of courage to step into our truth and say, well, yeah, I feel right now this is not working for me. And I really think it's a personal experience. There's nothing we can teach about that. And also in the surrendering process, this is something you really have to experience. So you just have to be open to that, and the experience will come. But I think deep down we always know what's working for us and what's not working. But it's just a matter. Sometimes we need some time. Sometimes I love what Marianne Williamson always said. She said healing has its own timing, and there's nothing you can control about it. So for some people it will take more time. For some people it will be quicker, right, to realize things. But you also have to be okay with that. So right now, if I'm in a relationship and I don't really know if it's nurturing me, nourishing me or not, I have to be okay with that. So it's one, I accept whatever my experience is, that maybe some other possibilities and some other realm of possibilities will come my way. But I have, along the way, whatever my steps are, I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay with feeling uncomfortable, with feeling the hurt, with feeling painful. And most of the time, I think when people struggle, it's because they don't want to feel hurt. So they don't want to feel the pain, because sometimes it can be really, we just say, I can't take it anymore. But the more you resist, the more it persists. So if you can find your own way to just let it go and say, okay, let's see what other possibilities can come my way, that's when it starts. And sometimes it takes time. So it's a healing process. It's a surrendering process. And you just have to be okay with that. And whatever, there is no timeline, right?
Yeah. So you have to be
In,
patient in a way,
yeah, absolutely.
and
And you have
courageous. Takes a lot of courage.
courage. Oh, it takes a lot of courage, actually.
Mm,
Absolutely. Because it's
mm,
so easy to stay in your comfort zone. It's so easy to say, well, okay, this is my life, and I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to be upset every day with my partner, and I'm going to be upset with my mother, and I'm going to be upset with my kids, whatever. That's comfortable. Even if it's not an enjoyable experience, but that's comfortable because this is what I know. But when I don't know what I don't know, it can be sometimes scary for some people.
yeah, absolutely. So Eric, would you say that this is your soul work? This working relationship is your soul work?
Yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely. But the thing is, I'm not attached to anything anymore. So this is my soul work right now. Maybe there is something else for me. I just don't know. And I don't want to really think about it right now, because otherwise, if I start to think about the future, if I start to stop living in the present moment and doing what I do, which is right now nurturing me and nurturing my clients, right? So this is it. This is perfect for now. Maybe there is something else. I just don't know yet. And I'm
Mm,
okay if there is something else, if at some point a new experience come to my way.
right.
So I'm not attached to what really matters for me and really helped me in my life to shift a lot of things is to stay connected with the present moment, because the past doesn't exist and the future doesn't exist yet, and all that matters is now. So all that matters for me now, it's the conversation that you and I have, and what can come up from this conversation. And this conversation, of course, I hope a lot of people will listen to that conversation and maybe get inspired. But I am also inspired in that conversation because I'm still learning, I'm still growing. I still consider myself a beginner. And I think one thing that we can tell people about the soul work, about the soul journey, about the transformation, about how to live the life you want and live it powerfully, it's really a daily practice. It's
Yeah.
not something that you acquire one day and then you're done. No, this is a lifetime practice. You have to practice over and over and over again. So when you're on this journey, there is no return back. You just have to keep going. There is a
Yeah.
French song that say we don't have enough gas to do the trip back, and that's the way it is. You can't turn back. You just go in front of you, and whatever comes, it's perfect.
Wonderful. So, what I think you're saying is that, this work that you're doing, or a relationship, or whatever it is a vehicle. They're all vehicles, and that
Absolutely.
the actual soul work is the practice. This practice of being present and letting things unfold and getting out of the way and trusting and surrendering.
Absolutely. This is exactly it. I
Yeah,
wouldn't say it better, Rose. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. This is it.
Yeah, but but it is a journey to get to this place that we're talking about. You and I obviously recognize this place
Yeah,
that, you know, but it, for me, certainly has been a journey of, with lots of different phases to it. So,
yeah,
you know, um, but I think that it is quite liberating when he gets this place. And yeah, the really important thing is the practice, the transformational practice of being here, just being here. I mean, it's so simple. Everything you've been saying as well is actually very simple.
yeah. It
Simple
is.
set of skills, but the actual practice of it, it's not always simple, is it? Because we still have, we're working with that old framework. We know it takes a while to completely shift that out of the system. Even for people who've been on the sort of path for a long time, they're still working with those inner resistances and old bits of, sludge that are still sort of there. So it's simple, but it's not easy. I think that's what I usually say. It's just
No,
practice is simple, but it's like meditation. You can sort of sit there, and some days you're completely sort of expanded and in bliss, and other days your mind's just going like that, and you're tormented and that sort of thing. It's just all part of being human, isn't it?
oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, I know it's not easy, but just to people understand, it's the first step. It's the first step into the journey that is difficult, right? Because we always do the first step when we are in pain, when there is a situation that we can't take it anymore, right? So that's the first step. But I think when it gets easier and easier and easier and easier as you go along the way. And for me, for example, and I'd like to share that, is it's not, I am in a great place in my life, but I still have challenges in my life. I still have challenges with my own relationship, sometimes with myself and sometimes with others. But the thing is, I acquired some skills that I'm not afraid anymore to face that challenges. So I will take the challenges way differently that I used to do when I was not aware of that, right? I take every challenges in my life as an opportunity, even if it's not comfortable, even if it's not easy. But the way I take it makes it easier because I know I will find my way through that.
Yes, exactly. That's
So
the wisdom of experience, isn't it? That's,
yes,
you know,
absolutely.
so for me, 30 years ago, I might have taken me 6 months to get through a particular problem or block or suffering. But now, I may still feel that suffering, but I can get through it in half an hour or half a day. It doesn't have to take 6 months anymore. And because I know I've been through that so many times before, I've got a sort of inner strength and resilience. A greater trust that whatever is happening, I know I can get to the other side of it. And yeah.
Yeah. And one thing that I'd like to say, because you use the word expand. And for me, whatever we do in life, it's about expanding our heart, opening. So every experience is when we want to seek for that, it's an opening heart experience. This is how we expand our heart. And the more we expand our heart, the more we are on track with our purpose, the more we are on track with what we are supposed to do, the more we are on track with unconditional love, self-love, taking care of ourselves, and making a difference in the world, even if it's a very small thing, even if you just make a difference with one person, even if you make a difference with your kid or with your parents or with one friend. This is what it's all about for me. Really, the expansion of the heart.
Yeah, that's beautiful and very simple. Yeah, and as you've been talking, I kind of see the work you do when people come to see you. It's like opening a doorway, and stepping through into a deeper relationship with yourself, and therefore, and through that deeper relationship with yourself, with everything, you come into a deeper relationship in connection with everything. And as you're saying, it's through the heart. It's the heart that expands and takes in more and more of what it means to be human and what it means to be here, and yeah.
Yeah, and it makes it more enjoyable. we can be in appreciation of life when we expand our heart. Whatever challenges we find, we can still find beauty in everything, even within ourselves, right?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
when the heart expands, we start to realize that we are special in our own way, right? And that we can be magnificent, that we can be the light in this world. And if everyone would do the same work, we would be like maybe one light from so many lights, and that would be a heart-opening experience for the world.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's why, with my soul sanctuary circles, I think that's what happens when a group of people come together intentionally to share from the heart, is that we create a much bigger energy field. And then
Absolutely.
I love to create those kind of opportunities where we can actually do that. And I've actually experienced that with you today, Eric. It's like I feel
Thank
very
you.
inspired and uplifted, and and I think, yes, thank you. I think that's probably enough. I think we've
Thank you. Thank you too. I mean, I really enjoy talking about that and expanding, whatever comes my way. It's funny because whenever people ask me to do an interview, I never know what I'm going to say. So I'm just in the moment with you in the conversation. And sometimes I say things that I say, oh, I did say that. Oh, interesting. You know, so along the way, along my process, and I want to say that to all the people along their process, there is an opportunity and space to learn every day about yourself, about life, about everything. But we just have to be present for that.
Yeah, every moment. Every moment is an opportunity.
Exactly.
Every moment is a doorway, and yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rose. Thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.
Bye.
Me as well.
Bye.